With age comes wisdom, experience, and a whole lot of unexpected changes. Welcome to Dad Brain, where two best friends share their journeys through the ups and downs of their 30s. Get ready for the raw and honest realities of growing older. Here are your hosts, Matt K. and Matt L.
Welcome back, friends, to Dad Brain. My co-host, Matt L., you know him, you love him, you despise him. He believes there's no greater pleasure in life than filling his wife's gas tank in her automobile.
Okay, I want to point out just some inaccuracies here. It is my gas tank, too. I literally just gave her money for the car payment before I got on this episode. But I currently don't have an automobile, so I, got to fill up the gas tank. But I'm keeping her filled in more than one way, so...
So if it's your gas tank, too, and you're splitting the car, why do you get so irritable about having to put gas in it when you use the car?
Well, because normally I don't drive anywhere, right? Like, we're going to talk about in today's episode about routines, but like a part of my routine as a remote worker is not leaving home as much as possible, because I find when I'm out, I just spend money on dumb shit, and I could be spending that time holding on to my riches, I guess. But with that being said, let's just introduce this guy sitting next to me. Don't adjust your viewing screens. This man sitting right next to me, it is 2023. He is wearing an Oakley sweatshirt. Okay, so if you need any fashion tips, make sure to steer clear of my co-host, Matt K.
Spoken like a tool. What are you even
Honestly,
wearing?
though,
A hockey team. It's cool to wear shirts that make fun of people who are into sports. Okay, so
but
that's
you see,
where we're at
like,
now.
you know, I
The
made
revenge
this
of the nerds part in our lives. Okay,
I actually made this shirt, and I wore it when the Bolts won back-to-back championships. I'm just such a Tampa Bay dick, right? Like the Bolts. When the Bolts won back-to-back championships, we were hanging out at a bar, and I didn't have any Tampa Bay Lightning gear, so I decided to make this here hockey team shirt and cheer on the boys as they were hockeying all around the ice.
hockeying. Can't even say skate.
Yeah. No, because, last episode we were talking about shooty hoops. So I was trying to think of the equivalent of shooty hoops for hockey.
So you would say that watching real sports is not part of your routine.
Is this a wrestling dig?
What? That's not a real sport. So yeah, what? Not really a dig. It's just it's honesty, and if it hurts, it hurts.
I mean, I like football.
Punches in wrestling.
I like football, right? So if it's football, I'll watch that. But any other sport, like, I don't know what it is, man. I just don't have the attention span, or I don't know enough about the sport to be interested in it. Like, I could not tell you right now what icing means. I could tell you what it's delicious on, a cupcake, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Isn't icing when you have too many players on the other side of the ice? Or it's kind of like almost an offsides, isn't it? I could be totally wrong. I'm not a hockey guy.
You're asking me a question about something that I just admitted that I don't know. So
that's why we need a producer to look this up,
Yeah. We're in the hunt for a young Jamie for the show.
Anybody listening who wants to join the Dad Brain experience, reach out to us. We'll take anything.
What is the email? Producer@dadbrainpod.com?
Yeah. Admin at dadbrainpod.com as well.
Yeah. So
you'll get
either
the email address if you become the producer.
Yeah. So if you are actually interested in that, send us an email. And if you're not interested in it, then just sign us up on a bunch of mailing lists using that email address.
Shit.
Which, I'm really sorry about that, buddy. How many emails did they send you, by the way, if you want to give some background to the audience? Oh, thank you for chewing right into the microphone. Are they trying to throw you a private party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a dick.
So we already talked about Howl at the Moon on a previous episode. I think it was the friendships episode.
It took me over a week to realize what it was. I was like, what the fuck are these? Then I remembered you mentioning Howl at the Moon Enterprises fucked you over out of $100.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Very cool.
I used Matt's dad brain email address to sign up for a bunch of free offers in a piano bar that's 1,000 miles away from him.
It's as close to getting swatted as I'll ever get.
Honestly, though, like, if you remember at the supermarkets when we were younger, they used to have like just like a section where they had like leaflets and pamphlet information. And I would always grab the one that said stop bedwetting, and I would just hand it out to people, whether they had a bedwetting problem or not.
Has that
so
helped
this is
you
kind of the
with your
equivalent.
problem yet?
No. I still have plastic on the sheets and still gushing confirmed.
So
The good thing, yeah.
but
Go ahead.
I think we're going to talk about routine and how as we get older, our days become more routine. You know, our mornings have a routine. You know, we're more worried about being regular, taking that shit on time so you can do your shit on time. And for some people, it's terrifying. For me, I'm not mad about it. I don't need an overarching purpose in life. And I'm cool with that. The routine brings me comfort. You've had pretty soon here, your routines are going to be blown out of the water. And that's part of dad brain too. After May, it's a whole new routine for you. But I think it's good that we talk about our routines now compared to our mid to late 20s routines. So that way, in a couple months, we can talk about your new routine.
Yeah, no, I think it's also important to level set for the audience. Obviously, if you're a dad brain listener, you know that we're in our early 30s. We are both married gentlemen. And that's just some important context to offer. But I think it's also important to look back. And you were talking about the routine in our 20s. What are some of the routines that you had implemented in your life in your 20s or when you were in college? Just to kind of give everybody a little bit of an insight. I mean, I can start because I have one in mind right off the top.
Take it away.
Yeah, it was going to class, which I know that definitely wasn't part of your routine.
I knew that was coming.
I know. I was lining you up in the sights. It was just there.
I went to class.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was at least when I was in college, like everything was structured around going to class and whatever job you had at the time. Right. But now that you're married, like a lot of those same things kind of are in place, but I'm a fan of structure, and that's what routine offers.
So your college routine wasn't around smash and tang and getting drunk?
No.
And trying to fit in some classwork in the downtime? Or was it or was your routine throwing a party every night because your buddy had to get up at 3 a.m?
Yeah, I think what you're referencing is the world famous Matt K has to work in the morning parties, which is where we would just have a party because you had to work in the morning. It would start upstairs in our house, in our fraternity house, and then it would leak down to the basement, bottom area where you were.
Do you have any regrets about that?
No, because I didn't have to wake up early in the morning and go sell women's shoes.
I didn't even do that. I was a stock boy at a department store, dick.
Stocking what, though?
All kinds of stuff, including women's shoes.
Including women's shoes. I knew I didn't make it up.
I can't wait until May when you're trying to have a little snooze and this little tiny, maybe 7-pound, couple inches, you call her Maisie, I call it Karma. wakes your ass up with this shitty diaper right before you have to go to fucking work.
Yeah.
The Matt L has to work shitty diaper party.
Everyone obviously knows that I'm becoming a dad, so you get a lot of unsolicited dad advice. And what I've heard is basically the first 1 to 3 months is nothing but shit. So, like, if the baby is crying, it's because the baby is tired, the baby's hungry, or the baby just shit. So it's got to be one of those three things. And that's pretty easy to follow. So I think in terms of what the routine will look like, I don't know how much research you've done into this, you know, as someone that wants to be a dad and is working towards that. But there's a lot of routines based around routines for the baby, right? Such as like sleep training, which is something that I've gotten like really into because I love my sleepykins, and I know you love sleeping too. And I'm just dreading that moment. Maybe I'm not dreading it. I don't think that's the right word, but I'm just wondering how that will fit into my 8 hours that I get every single night. Proud to say.
Kiss 8 hours goodbye.
I'm
going to call you in the middle of the night just to see if you're up. Be like, normally he'd be sleeping. Let's see if he's up.
Yeah, I got.
I've been waiting 15 years for payback.
Oh, for the Matt. So me having a child is payback for the Matt K has to work in the morning parties, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get it now.
I didn't really
like
orchestrate it. It's falling into place.
Yeah. It couldn't have been written better, right?
Yeah. So in college, other than school and your job, like what were some of your other routines? And well, you were a DJ, so nightlife was important, but you didn't enjoy it like most people did because you were working it. How did preparing for that every day fit into your routine?
Well, one thing that kind of carried over into adulthood and this dad brain era is, you know, taking naps. Because I was working late at night, you know, I wouldn't start work until 10 o'clock, and I'd have to work until 2 o'clock in the morning out in Ann Arbor. So I would need to do something to recharge my batteries, and most of the time that was a nap. So that one kind of carried over a little bit, but kind of, I never really embraced the whole entire nightlife thing, right? Like when I was there, like to DJ, like I was there to work and then I would leave. I wasn't there for the after parties and meeting people. I barely talked on the microphone. I let the music speak for me. I wish we had that. I know there's a picture of you visiting me in Ann Arbor at the Blue Leprechaun wearing a Wiz Khalifa tour shirt.
In the cut.
Yeah. So if you can pull that up from the archives, I'd love to put that right here.
If you zoom in on that, I am rock hard from grinding on somebody on the dance floor. I enjoyed the nightlife, and I got to drink off your tab, meet all the people, be like, I'm with the DJ.
And all he had to do was just carry a couple crates, a couple cases, right?
Sometimes I didn't even do that. I told you to fuck yourself.
So, okay, that's a little bit of insight into like my routine in terms of like college. Let's talk a little bit about your routines when, you know, you were in your 20s or, you know, college times. Because you were a little bit of a party animal, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot more hectic. I didn't have a routine, really. For a while there, you know, the gym was a routine. But, you know, it was trying to get into something different every day, every night, you know?
You savage.
And that continued on for a while. Like, and I don't know if your mid-20s were the same way, but after college, got a steady job, and then it was after work. What are we doing after work? Where are we going after work? Where's the party at? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So really that became, you know, social life became the routine, and everything you did outside of that was for it. You
know, the good thing though is without that social component in your life, you probably would have never met your producer, right? So that's something
That's
to
a
be
fun
grateful
story.
for. Yeah.
Picked her up at a bar. She was working.
Just kept staring at her.
You sit there and buy enough beers, eventually.
There you go. So all those guys out there who are
Who
just
hit on your bartender. It can
who
happen.
hit on, it can work, right?
Not
No, I think
recommended.
that's so. Let's talk a little bit about the routine that you're currently living within, right? Like, I also think like routines just give comfort, right? Like just knowing that these are things that are kind of the cornerstones of my day. Not necessarily that I can't do them, but like I just feel better. I feel more like myself when I do X, Y, and Z throughout the day. So one of mine is brewing a big pot of coffee first thing in the morning. Need to have the juice ready.
I miss that. I don't. Amanda doesn't drink hot coffee. I wouldn't say I drink it either. I consume it in large portions. But because she doesn't drink it, even on the weekends, I don't brew a pot of coffee anymore. I have a 20, it makes 20 cups. So, 2 coffee cups worth of coffee. It's a French press, and I just boil the water on the stove in the tea kettle and make it that way now.
But that's not part of your routine where you're
It
making
is.
coffee it is.
Yeah, I mean, most mornings I do that. If not, I gotta, I ramp it up at work, but.
Yeah. And then like, I don't know how your routine works with this, but I kind of have this range where my body doesn't allow me to stay asleep or stay in bed past a certain time. Like, I don't even have to really set an alarm anymore because my body's going to wake itself up at 7:30 to 8 o'clock. And if my workday starts at 8 o'clock technically, but like that's usually the time where I'm getting adjusted, kind of setting up my day. But that's definitely a change. Like I miss sleeping in. Yeah.
I don't know about you. I will get up 6:37, or I will wake up. Getting out of bed, different story, but I will wake up without an alarm, even sometimes as early as like 5:30. And if I don't have anything going on, I'm definitely going back to sleep. But I also have 2 dogs who are on their own routine, and fuck my routine. If they want to eat and they got to go out, we're up.
Yeah. Well, that's great you say that because tomorrow I wake up at 4:50 to do morning hot yoga, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'll shoot you a text, see if you're wakey.
Yeah. I'm not answering it. So that's another thing. One new thing to my routine is, this is a Wednesday, but Tuesdays and Sundays are podcast day.
We're just getting so much ASMR off of your indigestion,
It's not
burping,
indigestion, I'm drinking a
chewing
beer.
the ice. Try some water, bud. So one thing that may help jumpstart some sort of physical routine for you is the fact that when you do have a child, they do this thing called skin on skin. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically you have to take your shirt off like a budget Burt Kreischer, and your baby has to, be on the skin. So I'll be goddamned if my chest isn't looking on point during that skin to skin. I mean, that's why I got the surgery. That's why I'm doing the push-ups every single day. I'm getting fucking ready for it. That skin to skin. That's my next milestone here. So we talked a lot about the routine that you have kind of during the week, but I think it kind of gets askew. Obviously, we know you go do the shoot 'em ups on the weekend. But like, what other parts? Do you have any routines that you do on the weekend?
Yeah. I mean, lately it's been, I just the two of us, skip breakfast. We go do her little shoppies, take
Where
her
you go
around town.
shoppies?
It's that part's not routine. It's different.
Okay. Can I ask you just a sidebar question?
Yeah.
What is the store that your wife goes to that you hate the most?
So many of them. Target, Ulta. So many.
Ulta and Sephora, bro. I'm done.
And I try and enjoy Home Goods. Can't stand it. And there's like this little comic book, card game, it's store. It's like a hobby gaming store called Second and Charles by us, which it's not even great. Not like the old comic book gaming stores of our youths, but it's the closest thing we have to it. So I like to go there and just take it all in, and she hates it and she won't go. So we compromise. Bass Pro's right there. That's my store.
I debated putting on a Bass Pro hat today before the podcast because I have one, and I knew you were going to say something about it.
Don't do it.
I
don't own a Bass Pro hat because I'm not a poser.
Yeah, they got way too commercialized, right?
Yeah.
My birthday's coming up next weekend, so I am dragging my wife to MegaCon in Orlando, Florida. 600,000 square feet of nothing but comic book, anime, cosplay goodness. And, she's in her third trimester. She's currently suffering from a kidney stone. So the last thing that she's probably going to want to do is walk around MegaCon. But by God, we're going to be in attendance. And I'm thinking I should cosplay something. So if you got any suggestions, I would love to hear them.
I have no suggestions that are friendly. I was going to say cosplay as a real boy. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. So your weekend routine
is
your wife is dragging you around to Ulta and Sephora. You're usually you're usually doing a little bit of fine dining too, right? You're a man that appreciates the finer things.
Yeah, I mean, we've, in the interest of being economical and trying to save money, we've toned it down a bit. But yeah, I mean, we don't go out to eat during the week. We go out to eat on the weekends, Friday and Saturday. And then, we do our thing. Saturdays, much like a golfer, I go to one shooting course Saturday, and then the boys and I grab a beer after. And that takes me till about 2:00, get home, happy nappy. If I don't get my nap, the rest of the night's just off kilter. It won't happen. And then we usually go out with another couple, or people come down to my basement bar, and we'll get the fights or whatever sports is on. Yeah. And then Sunday is pretty much just a me day. I shoot in a league on Sunday, and then we go out to the bar after.
Happy nappy bar food, happy nappy bar food, guns. We definitely have to do a live pod where they just give me one of those guns. I've only shot shotgun one time. And I remember not hitting any of the clay pigeons because I didn't know how to follow through, right? I would shoot and then just stop, meaning you're not going to hit shit. But if you shoot and you track it, that's how you actually do it.
Yeah. Well,
it's one of my
next
only
time
memories.
You come visit, we'll get you on target.
There you go. But isn't your wife a part of this sportsman club as well?
Well, they're both family memberships, so she's a part by proxy. She likes the country club type one, the nice one we go to. The chef there is insane, so the food's always really good. So she likes that one. And I've gotten her on the course out there. For somebody who's never shot, is somewhat timid with guns, she shot an 8, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty turned on. She hit some great birds.
It turned you on that she can.
She knows how to
herself with a
handle.
weapon?
She knows how to handle a piece of wood and steel. If you know what I'm saying.
I wish I had the rim shot soundboard pulled up right there. That would have been perfect for it.
You can get that in post production.
But we've been married we've both been married for almost 3 years at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shit. I'm going on almost 4 years, so that means you are too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
same.
3.5 years.
Both married in 2019.
Yeah. You stood up in my wedding. I stood up in your wedding. A Cinderella tale. But I think even if we implement these routines into our lives, which we've kind of established what our routines are and how our wives kind of work into them, like also just taking the time, whether we have routines, to still just prioritize that time with our wives, right? Especially like with, in my case, like a little human entering the picture soon. Like, what is that going to look like, right? Because I don't think it's going to mean Thursday night movies anymore. Because,
well,
it's going to change drastically.
It'll be Thursday night movies at home.
Yeah, pirated movies at home.
Yeah. And the husband wife time is going to be husband wife kid time, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But it might be fun because we're loving the comfort of our routines, but that little thing might break up that comfort. So each day might be just different enough that you can't call it routine.
Yeah. And I think that's okay because you can have routines in your life, but still be flexible, right? Like still be able to bring different things into your schedule that aren't a part of your routine. And it doesn't fuck with you, like, because you have those different parts of your routine, and just being flexible is just so important with it.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to help us adapt, as future fathers, is that flexibility that we do have when it comes to implementing that with our routines.
It'll also be interesting to see, especially with you, like the social aspect, because right now it's a whole lot of you and Marley and a couple people in Florida, but being a parent, there's a lot of other parents that are looking for that connection. So dude, that's a plug right there.
It brings up such a great point though, right? Like a lot of people like around our age when they have kids, at least this is what I see from the outside, is they make friends with, people who go to the kids' school or people they met here or there. And we haven't really had those opportunities. Like when you move 1,000 miles across the country, it's hard to meet new people. And we talked about this on the friendship episode. But I think it's also relevant too when it comes to like finding those friends that have that common bond of being parents. Luckily we have my cousin who just, had her baby. And my buddy Curtis, who has almost a 1-year-old at this point, which blows my fucking mind. I can't wait to have him on the pod.
Talk about kids raising kids.
Yeah, that dude. And he would laugh at that, right? Like, Curtis, I love you. I'm going to send you this episode. But once I saw that you could raise a kid, I was like, I am good.
In the bag.
Let's do this. No fear whatsoever. But my wife, she's had a lot of success on a Facebook group, which is like all mothers who are delivering their babies in May. And it's just a lot of unsolicited nudity and premature babies. But I was kind of like looking at her phone as she was scrolling one day, and they have the baby, they have the tummy, big tummy, and then a thing of Ben and Jerry's, and it was half baked. So it was like to symbolize that the baby was halfway done growing. They're, 1.5 trimesters along, or I don't know all the math behind it.
It seems, good for them finding humor. I feel like a lot of those jokes are, maybe women just have different sets of humors. To me, they just seem like low grabs.
It's funny though, because the vibe I got from it, Matt, was like, they're kind of thirst trapping a little bit. She said 20 weeks is half baked. So I was close. But yeah, they're kind of thirst trapping a little bit. Like some of these
Naughty
photos,
moms.
they're like in like a negligee.
Is this really a kink for you? Are you
I know
just
it's an-
are you just hiding behind Marley saying she's the one looking it up, but really, I'm not kink shaming. I'm not kink shaming. I mean, if you want to be that kind of freak, whatever. I'm not gonna.
No, I'm not. I'm not into it at all. But what I am is just very curious as to why people feel the need to share these things and to like inject themselves in conversations. But I guess that's just really social media as a whole, right?
I mean, it's the same thing. Why do you feel the need to post pictures on Facebook without a shirt on? So we were talking about how, having a kid and the change in routine is going to open up new avenues for a social life for you. For me, when this works for Amanda and I'm super lucky that most of my central friend group have just had a kid or are in the process of having a kid and will be around the same time. We're hoping it works. So at that point I'm just going to have this built-in network of really close friends and people that will understand everything that we're going through because they've done it recently and will be in the same like, oh, well, we can only hang out around this time because kid type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're extremely fortunate for that, first off, right? And you're also probably going to get a gang of shit that they never used because in the room next to me, which is the nursery, is just so much stuff, Matt. Like so many outfits. Like if I had to count the number of outfits my daughter has from 0 to 12 months, it's somewhere in the range of 60. Now, if I had to count the number of outfits that I have that I kind of put together, it's definitely nowhere near there. But a lot of that was from people just giving it to us. Like, just get this out of my face kind of thing.
I'm terrified of that. I hate useless clutter. I hate the fact that I have clothes that I haven't worn in over 12 months. I'm like, get that shit out of here. I don't need it.
Dude, you're speaking my language, which brings
Every
up another
Monday at work at my desk, I put aside my lunch hour every Monday where I throw a bunch of shit out. Paperwork. I'm like, if I haven't looked at it in 2 days, garbage. Or
Dude.
I go, if I might need it again, digital copy of it.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to another part of the routine, right? Like I like the idea of decluttering. My thing is the countertop's got to be clean. Okay? I've been referred to as the counter cop. And even though my wife is currently are you showing me your countertop right now? Oh no.
Is bad.
Oh no. Look at all them casualties.
Before every podcast, I just throw them in that corner. And I go, I'll throw those out in the morning.
The audience just audibly gasped at that little pan over to the left-hand side.
That's only
of all
3
them
days.
Shoulders. Well, I'm gonna have to make a stop over there and be a counter cop. But yeah, it goes back to the decluttering thing. Like, if you haven't looked at it, like, has that ever come back to bite you in the ass though?
Oh, all the time. I threw away a title to a motorcycle or a boat. I'm sorry. And then when I sold the boat, they're like, "Where's the title?" I'm like, "That motherfucker's around here somewhere."
It got in my way, so I had to throw it away.
Yeah.
But if we had more routines that were around decluttering, like, it would just help so many more aspects of our life. But one thing that I wanted to bring up, have you ever seen Mark Wahlberg's routine?
Yeah, and The Rock too. They have the crazy routines where they're like, by the time you've woke up in the morning, I've already done a full day. And there's some other dickhead on TikTok who says he breaks his days into 3 days, where he goes, day one is 6 to noon, and then he's like, and then boom, after a week you're toast. You can't keep up with me. I'm like, oh, what a dick. Like, fuck. I'm like, you know what? Between 6 and 7, that's a day. 7 to 8, that's another day. In one day, I've had 24 days. What can you do?
So you've never heard of the 5 a.m. Club?
Yeah.
So the five a.m. Club is a book about from Robin Sharma, and it's about like what you're describing right there, where it's like the world is basically asleep at that time, so it's an opportunity to be the most productive version of yourself. But Mark Wahlberg recently visited Publix over here in Florida, and my buddy Devin actually got a chance to meet him. So I want to share Mark Wahlberg's daily routine and see if we can implement this into our routine. Wakes up at 3:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock. That's his wake up. And then just like Hulk Hogan, he's taken his prayers and his vitamins. He takes turmeric, vitamin C, and vitamin D. Then he is working out, taking emails and calls, and then 12 to 6 is his eating window, and 7:30 is his bedtime. So right now, as we're having this conversation, Mark Wahlberg has been asleep for an hour and a half.
No, it's not conducive. Well, no, because one, we couldn't be doing the podcast. Two, my job won't allow it. I'm not a movie star. I don't have a flexible schedule and millions of dollars to kind of just do what I want. Mm-hmm. Three, like I said, that morning period that I spend with my wife it's worth more than trying to follow some public figure's recipe for success. And that morning routine, it involves a good 20 minutes of us just lying in the bed with the dogs, hanging out with the dogs in the bed.
Yeah.
Little laziness in the bed with cuddles and tickles and all that stuff. And then we start getting our day going. And I'm not going to trade that to get up at 3 a.m. to go lift weights, which also you just said that his workout goes to X amount of time and then he's emails and calls. Who the fuck up is to call him?
Well, there was no time associated with like the prayers, the workout, the emails and calls.
Okay.
It just goes from 3:30 to 4, wake up, 12 to 6 is his eating window. But I think when we're looking at this routine, Matt, it's really he's just trying to find those good vibrations and he's trying to feel it.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to feel the vibrations.
And
you don't get it at all, do you?
No.
Good Vibrations by Marky Mark. You got that good vibrations.
No, I never listened to him in the 90s or 80s or whenever it was. God. I'm sorry.
That is sad. This man knows nothing about music.
No, I don't. Unless it's Dave Mustaine and Megadeth, I know nothing. So, how do you feel about this? We talked about this. I don't TikTok. I'm going to make that very clear here.
He Instagram Reels.
I Instagram Reel. I'm not
Do you
downloading
Facebook Reel?
Well, it's Instagram Reels. They're the same thing. Facebook
no, they have
Instagram
Facebook Reels now too.
They're the same thing though, because it's on. They're the same thing.
Okay.
I'm not downloading another social media app. Fuck off. It's not happening. So I'm going to stick with my Instagram Reels, which it's all the same. If it's on TikTok, it's on Instagram and vice versa.
At Dad Brain Pod, follow us for clips of the episodes.
But somebody, you know how they post the AI voice of like Ask Reddit? And
yes.
One said, what is like the most morbid realization you have about your life? And this person says, I'm an accountant with no children, no family, blah, blah, blah. And, not a lot of friends. And my routine is going to be this until I die. And then I'm done. I'm just a blip. Nobody's going to remember me, nothing. And you'd expect somebody to follow that up with, and I'm super depressed that my only life is my routine of nothingness because I'm not going to be a millionaire. I'm not going to own my own company, all this stuff, be mildly successful, and just have the same thing morning to night. And I was thinking the same thing, and they finally said, and you know what? It's the most comforting thing I can do. I love it. And I'm like, when you unchain yourself from the rat race and all these lofty goals of trying to be the, one up everybody and all that stuff, and take yourself out of the grind, you can breathe. And I think that's a good thing to look at when we're looking at the other side of having a routine that makes you succeed and having a routine that just lets you breathe it in.
Yeah, I get stuck with so many of those different AI Ask Reddit things. They're usually about like conspiracy theories. But yeah, no, I think that's just a great point, right? We've talked a lot about how routines are implemented in our life. They've been in our life since college. They've been in our lives with our wives. We've implemented them in that way. The routines are going to change once we have children, but also understanding like they comfort us, right? And it's okay to find comfort in our routines, which may be mundane to some people, but it's really just about how it affects your life and your well-being. And like you said, that person was completely fine with that because they were no longer having to have that extra stressor of trying to achieve instead of just finding that routine that works for their lives.
Well, I think
just like we found it.
That's dad brain, is in to bring it all back and make sense of this and put all the threads together. As you age and mature, you go from your college routine, which is trying to find the next best thing, be it, the next best girl, next best party, next best high, next best grade, next best career, to now we're like at a point where we're trying to set ourselves up to where we can just enjoy life and enjoy the things that life has given us and that we have.
Yeah. And I think that's a great place to end it. And speaking of next best, that is the next best co-host I could ask for, Matt K. If you haven't already, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got new episodes going up on YouTube every single Sunday. We have clips going to IG Reels, Facebook Reels. It is a thing. TikTok, even though Matt K isn't on it, we'll get him on there. That's my mission for the pod right here. We're going to get you on TikTok. They're going to steal your data, clone you. It's going to be great. Or who knows? By the time this episode is live, maybe TikTok is banned in the United States and we're having a different conversation. But I've had a lot of fun catching up with you and talking about routines. Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Awesome.
We'll see you next time, guys.
See you next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Dad Brain. New episodes come out every Sunday. Don't miss any. Subscribe today wherever you listen to podcasts. While you are there, help spread the word about Dad Brain by leaving a rating and review. Can't get enough Dad Brain? Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Dad Brain Pod.